Good morning, students. Welcome to online class. Hope you are keeping well by the grace of God. Students, today I am going to teach you English literature from your supplementary book, that is Footprints Without Feet. So I am starting from the first chapter. The name of the chapter is A Triumph of Surgery. A Triumph of Surgery. It is written by James Herriot, and James Herriot, he was a veterinary doctor and writer. He was an English and he was born in 1916 and died in 1995. That means James Herriot is a modern author. So Herriot, he has narrated his own experience through this story. That is why we can say that it is an autobiographical story of James Herriot. Whatever the incident he had faced once upon a time in his life, he has narrated through the lines of the story. So the story opens with that one day the doctor, he was driving, he was going by his car, he was driving his car and he noticed Mrs. Pumphrey. Mrs. Pumphrey, she is a wealthy single lady, and here Mrs. Pumphrey, she is walking with her pet, Tricky, pet dog Tricky. So guys, in this story, there are three characters. Mrs. Pumphrey, the doctor, veterinary doctor, that is the author himself, and Tricky, a dog. So Mrs. Pumphrey and Tricky, they were visible by the doctor, and the doctor stopped. And he was inquiring about the health of Tricky, because Mrs. Pumphrey, she is very much concerned with her pet and she loves Tricky like anything, like her child. That is why the doctor, he is inquiring about Tricky and his health. But at the same time, the doctor, he noticed that Tricky, he was looking quite bulky and quite fat. So being a veterinary doctor, he was quite astonished, and simultaneously he was quite worried to see Tricky like that. So he suggested Mrs. Pumphrey not to give Tricky extra food or surplus food. Whatever Tricky's diet, she should give accordingly. But Mrs. Pumphrey, she confessed that apart from his fixed diet, Tricky takes lot of things in between his meal. Anyway, the doctor, he carried on. He drove towards his destination. One day, suddenly, the doctor, that means the author, he received a call from Mrs. Pumphrey. She was in a state of anxiety and she was quite nervous, and very hurriedly she was narrating about Tricky's health, that Tricky is not keeping well and Tricky is not taking his food and he is vomiting also. That means he is lacking appetite, and she was quite worried about Tricky, because in the beginning only I told you that Mrs. Pumphrey, she loved Tricky, or she loves Tricky like anything, like her child. That is why she was very much worried. The doctor, anyhow, he consoled her and he gave her assurance that I am going to do something.